Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 38th episode of the PBPolitical podcast. I'm Eshan Pokhrel,
And my name is Cameron Cummings.
and today we're covering the indictment and pending charge on President Donald J. Trump. So President Trump was indicted last Thursday. Today is Monday, April 3rd, and he will be formally charged tomorrow, April 4th. And with that timeline set up, Cameron, take it away.
Yeah. So on Thursday, March 30th, former President Donald J. Trump was indicted by a New York grand jury in relation to the payments he made to the adult film star Stormy Daniels during his 2016 campaign for president. He will be arrested and arraigned on Tuesday, April 4th, so tomorrow. But despite this development, Mr. Trump will still be allowed to campaign for presidency in the 2024 election, and he is also the first former president to be charged with a crime. There are other ongoing investigations into President Trump's conduct. We've seen many of them come out in recent months, and mainly just months and weeks since this event prior to it. One regarding the case of the classified documents found at his residence in Mar-a-Lago, Florida, and another pertaining to the allegations of fraud and attempt to reverse the results of the 2020 presidential election and the ensuing fallout.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things going on with indictment and conviction. So we're just going to lay it all out here and explain what the difference between those two. Because just because you're indicted does not mean you're convicted. An indictment and conviction are two different legal processes, but they often occur in criminal cases. An indictment is a formal accusation that a person has committed a crime. It is typically issued by a grand jury or prosecutor, and it outlines the charges the person faces. An indictment is not an arrest, but can lead to arrest if the person is not already in custody. In some cases, an indictment is not necessary, and a person can be charged with a crime through a process called information. And then there's conviction. And a conviction is when a person is found guilty by a judge or jury. A conviction is based on the evidence presented during a trial, and the defendant is held responsible for the crime. A conviction and indictment is a formal accusation of a crime, while a conviction is a finding of guilt based on the evidence presented during the trial.
Yeah, and thank you to lawdictionary.org for breaking down those definitions. We wanted to be really clear off the bat what's a indictment, what's a conviction, because just because, again, President Trump has been indicted does not mean he's actually guilty as of yet. It seems likely he will be charged tomorrow. However, as of right now, he isn't innocent, and obviously you are innocent until proven guilty in the United States. So we're going to get into the case here, just the outline of the case itself, and then we're going to bring in PBPolitical co-founder Michael Bodeker to discuss the political ramifications of this charge, the other cases on President Trump, and what it all means for 2024 and going forward. So for the case itself, it all starts from 2006 when Mrs. Daniels said she had an affair with President Trump, which she's always denied. In 2016, during his presidential campaign, President Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, paid Miss Daniels $130,000 to keep her story about their encounter quiet. This is called a hush money payment, which is not illegal. However, the issue that comes out of this is that they messed up the taxes, basically. So Mr. Cohen allegedly falsified his records by classifying the payment to Miss Daniels as legal fees instead of hush money. After that, the Trump Organization, President Trump's company, reimbursed Mr. Cohen and then added bonuses to it. I think he came out to around $300,000 total. In 2018, federal prosecutors brought a case against Michael Cohen about the money, alleging campaign finance law violations and all that. He pleaded guilty, and but they did not pursue any charges towards President Trump because obviously he was in office then, and it was probably a friendly DOJ. And of course, for everybody out there, in the state of New York, it's customary that indictments are sealed until the actual arraignment, so when President Trump is brought to court. So no one knows the official charges the president is facing. I've heard numbers. I mean, there's a lot of different cases. There's at least one felony charge from what we've heard, but we don't know the exact titles and specific specifications of these charges. Mr. Trump's current lawyer, Joe Tacopina, said, again, the president's innocent and vowed to vigorously fight this prosecution in court. He called it politically charged. And the likely outcome of any fallout is a fine. However, a felony conviction does carry up to 4 years in prison in this case, and that could be what President Trump's looking at. So not a good situation, regardless, for President Trump. Obviously, you can still run for president, like you said earlier, but it's just not a good situation to be in.
And I mean, he can currently, but if he does get
Now you can run for prison. You can run from prison. It's weird. There's no laws against
Really?
it. Yeah, there's no laws against it. So, yeah, that's the background of this case. Without further ado, we're gonna bring in co-founder of PBPolitical, personal friend of the show, Michael Bodeker. So, we'll be right back.
we love you, Michael Bodeker.
Michael Bodeker, welcome to the show.
Honored to be here and a privilege.
Yeah, well, we had you, I think, for the midterm election episode, right? It's been a while. First one, 2023.
Went to bachelor class,
Yeah, it was like a really long episode.
but fortunately for me, it was not the only disaster class.
That's true. That was a disaster class for Republicans. This could be good for Republicans, this whole Trump arrest thing. It's very interesting. So President Trump is the first former president to be charged with a crime, which this mainly means, like, on a more, like, realist note, that no one knows what's going to happen now. Like, he's still allowed to run for president. Eugene Debs, the socialist candidate in, like, 5 elections, ran for president while he was in prison in 1920 and got 900,000 votes. I'm assuming President Trump's going to get more than that, regardless if he wins the nomination or not. But also, other, like, big Republicans, actually most all big-name Republicans have came out and supported him through this process. So, like, Ron DeSantis tweeted support for him, former Vice President Mike Pence, Nikki Haley, she's running for president right now, Vivek Ramaswamy, he's running for president right now. They've all really came out and supported President Trump. And I guess, like, the first question, like, for all of us really is, like, how does, like, any candidate that's not President Trump right now that's in the race actually have a chance at beating him? Because, like, even they're supporting him. Like, how do you actually beat President Trump at this point in the Republican primary? Bob, you can go first.
Well, I think this depends on how this plays out, right? So, say that he's actually convicted, then he obviously loses the primary. I don't see any situation where he actually is convicted and wins the primary. But say that he actually isn't convicted, then yeah, I think that's a major problem for the other candidates, because I just feel like his witch hunt claims kind of have a little bit more salt to them if he actually ends up defeating these charges and winning. And the problem is like for like a DeSantis or Haley, like it's hard to debate. It'll be hard to debate Trump on policy when he's already served 4 years as president, and a lot of Republicans like what he did. So it's hard to debate him on that.
Cameron?
I really, like, it's only going to help him. If he gets indicted, if he actually gets, goes all the way through, then yeah, his chances are lower. But like Bodeker said, he's been claiming witch hunt, like this has been just for months now. And if he can prove that it was all a witch hunt, quote unquote, no one else really stands a chance. Like Republican one, even the Democrats couldn't stand a hard chance unless they bring like a hard candidate to come against him, because he had the rallying of saying they had a witch hunt after me. They were after me. They're trying to keep me down, stuff like that.
Do you think, Bodeker or Cameron, do you guys think that Ron DeSantis, so, I mean, everyone thinks he's going to run for president. He hasn't said he's going to run for president, but he's making a lot of moves to seem like that he is going to run for president. Do you think he's waiting to hope President Trump gets indicted and convicted, and then announce a campaign? Or what do you think? I mean, because, like, I feel like it's inevitable he runs at this point, but what do you think he's waiting on at this point? Because he's the most prominent Republican left that hasn't announced.
Yeah, give it a couple of months, see how this plays out. Especially after the charges get unsealed tomorrow. Because you really can't. I mean, what does Ron DeSantis gain from declaring right now? It can just look like he doesn't think he can beat Trump if he comes out right now. So you got to declare in a few months, maybe. The thing that really I noticed, though, was swing voters, right? So Trump is notoriously bad with moderate voters, but if the witch hunt stuff actually turns out well for him, this could be what he needs to actually win moderate voters in key districts and states.
bro, what is happening in the background? I don't know, but yeah, swing voters. I think that's gonna be hard for him to win over. If you get even the first thing, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're gonna get convicted. The look is already bad. I mean, he's been indicted by a grand jury. I don't know which independent voters are looking at that and going, because his message. I mean, I guess he's went heavy on during his campaign. He's went very heavy on not cutting Social Security, not cutting Medicare. Two things that are vastly popular. Not cutting them, that is. And it's something that no one's really talked about from like a political stance from his campaign. It's been mostly focused on the legal issues. Do you think that's gonna be like enough of like a core message to carry the legal, like to outweigh the legal issues? Yeah, even if he gets convicted, do you think his message is gonna be enough to make swing voters take a good look and say, hey, he might have legal issues, but X, Y isn't gonna change.
Well, the thing like with swing voters, I mean, the legal stuff, if he's convicted, swing voters will never vote for him. Even hardcore Republicans, I would doubt, would vote for him. I mean, he has loyal supporters for sure, but it would certainly be, not ideal for him. But then, say he's victorious, I almost feel like it would be better for him to swing voters, because it wouldn't look great on Democrats if he actually ends up coming out of this on top. Because that looks like, well, why did you just do this to a former president? Breaking, decorum and all that stuff that swing voters are notoriously popular with. Kind of enjoying those kind of privileges that he wouldn't have had before.
Can't really think. What is happening in the background, guys? Just like slide down.
Hydro flask.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. Yeah, Cameron, what do you think, Buzz? How do you think swing voters are going to look at President Trump in both the primary, but also, I mean, honestly, it looks like he's going to the nomination. So even looking forward to 2024 itself.
To be completely honest, it doesn't look political regardless to swing voters. Whether he comes out victorious or not, he's going to lose a fair bit of them regardless, just because all the twin down. Like you said, he already wasn't popular with him to begin with. This surely isn't going to help his popularity with him. Sure, he may grab a couple if he comes out unscathed. He doesn't get convicted. They'll be like, yeah, it could have been a witch hunt. But still, a lot of swing voters still wouldn't support him. I don't think so at all.
Yeah, I feel like the swing voters, I mean, they could just honestly not vote, but I don't think, I mean, if President Biden, they've been crowding the field out on the Democratic side, it looks like, to make way for him to run again. Of course, Marianne Williamson has declared, but outside of her, there's anybody that's held office, I don't think has declared for president on the Democratic side. But I think the swing voter, I don't know, I feel like swing voters are going to be able to overlook anything legal if it's not like because I mean, voters are smart. If they feel like this whole conviction is, as President Trump says, a witch hunt, and he actually gets convicted, but like he's promising this no cuts to Social Security, Medicare, something that a lot of his party even isn't behind, I think it could maybe move the needle for them, but I don't know. Swing voters are very tricky. I think there's like a pair match.
It really depends. Like, say that he comes out on top in this. It's then his experience, and say he wins the nomination, so it's him against Biden again. Even looking at the turnout numbers from the last election, it seems clear, at least to me, that Cameron is right. That, like, swing voters aren't going to stay home. They're going to vote. I mean, last election was, the two candidates that received the most votes in American history. I mean, it was an incredibly large turnout. So I don't see that changing. But then it's Trump's record plus all of his baggage, which we all know about anyway. This just adds to that baggage versus now Biden's record as president. So that would be really tough to play out in my head of how voters are going to react to that, because I'm not sure either.
Honestly, I think yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. It could end up like the previous election where people, didn't necessarily support everything Biden, said. I don't fully support him, but I would rather him than Trump. I remember hearing that phrase so many times. I would rather Biden than Trump. And I feel like whether Joe Biden wins the primary or not, whoever the Democratic Party selects, wins their primary, it's going to, and President Trump, let's just say, hypothetically makes it past Republican primary, it's going to end up being, I would rather this person over Trump. Yeah. It's going to end up, or the Republicans. I'd rather Trump over this person. It's going to end up like 2020 all over again.
President Trump is actually making a speech tonight or tomorrow. I guess tomorrow, Tuesday night in Florida. So he's flying. He's in New York. He's reached New York. I got an alert right before we started recording. He's staying in the Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. I'm assuming tonight, and then he's gonna get charged tomorrow. Have all this fanfare around that. Then he's flying back. He's gonna get released. He's gonna fly back to Florida, and then make a speech. So I don't think
Are they gonna? I saw something though. Are they gonna put a gag order on it?
I have no idea. I don't think much is. I
Oh,
don't.
that was a thing that was likely going to happen. Is they may put a gag order on his speech tomorrow.
Yeah, okay. The speech thing, I only had one. I only saw a couple of places reporting it. It's happening now. More outlets have covered it now. I haven't seen anything about gag orders, but if I mean, who knows? What do you think he's gonna say? Do you think it's gonna be a normal campaign speech? What do you think he's gonna go after? Because it's gonna be prime time, televised everywhere, I'm sure. What do you think he's gonna say?
We got this one because my guess is as good as yours.
Honestly, it depends on the outcome. Like, let's say he gets convicted. Witch hunt. If he doesn't get convicted, witch hunt. I mean, regardless, there are very few routes that he's going to take, just based off everything he said before and the way he's been speaking about all this going down. It's going to be witch hunt, or a regular speech. But, it's like Miss Frizzle on the Magic School Bus. There's really no regular speech when it comes to Trump. So I put my money on it's going to be like a witch hunt speech that goes into why he needs to run for president again.
And governor of Arkansas, or former governor of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson, he announced for president yesterday. He called on President Trump to step aside from the race. He said, quote unquote, on ABC's The Week, he should, but at the same time, we know he's not, which is pretty accurate. I don't think anyone thinks he's actually going to drop out. I think, also, yeah, again, Asa Hutchinson's the only one that's actually really went against President Trump here. Again, Nikki Haley, former secretary to the UN under President Trump, and tech CEO Vivek Ramaswamy have both supported him. So it's just an interesting. Also, Mike Pence, who might get in the race, has supported him. So it's just an interesting balancing act you have to make, especially if you're another candidate in the field, because you can't really anger all of Trump's base, because again, you might need those votes down the line, especially from the ones that can break away from the core MAGA, or keep him or whatever message he has this time around. Keep a little bit of that base on your good side, but you also have to carve your own lane out. And towing that line is something I do not envy Haley and Ramaswamy and Hutchinson to have to do, because that's a rough one. I feel like. Let's turn this over to honestly just President Trump's weird invincibility as a political figure. This is crazy. He's been dodging scandal after scandal ever since 2015 now. And it seems like it's finally caught up to him. But has it though? How much do you think this is gonna change? It's not gonna change the way he campaigns, but how much? I don't even know what I'm asking. How much do you think this is gonna change his campaign? Not the way he campaigns, but his campaign in general.
It depends, right? So, say he's convicted. What is his punishment? So those charges, what does he do? Is he in jail for 5 years? Is he in jail for 2 years? Does he pay a huge fine? I have no idea what the punishment for what they allegedly did is.
I think he has one felony charge, which is up to 4 years in prison, but everything else is I guess fines could be the highest for everything else.
Same thing. I think they many people that really want the president to spend the first half of his term incarcerated. I feel like that's a little bit difficult. No offense, Eugene Debs. But it's hard to believe when you're in prison. Now, say he does go. I really do think there are people out there who would still vote for him anyway. But how many? I don't know. I mean, I think it's in the millions, probably. But with enough change the outcome, I think it could, actually.
But, also another thing that I kind of forgot about till now, he has the election, interference cases going on right now in Georgia. And he also has what else is he? He's another one too. He has the document case, which will probably be dismissed. It won't be that bad because it seems like just like a common thing. Vice President Pence, President Obama, I think President Biden, they've all had the same thing. But the election interference one, I mean, like, do you think that there's any shot that, like, okay, so if he does get like a huge fine or something, like a fine or even like a suspended sentence or something like that, do you think this actually, do you think this does anything to him, especially knowing that this is kind of like giving like a realization that's like, oh, I have these other cases out, and if I get connected to those are much more severe than this one, I feel like.
I did a bad job of answering the actual question, which was, what is his invincibility? I think it's not a little bit of an ideological, but also like just a general, like, right-wing frustration with the way that America is right now. He is currently, at least, the embodiment of that. He just there's so many people on both sides of the spectrum that are just really frustrated with the way the country is right now. So, and he speaks that probably better than most Republican leaders do. And so, I mean, he is the fighter. So I think that's why he's proved to be so rigid, is that he has such a strong base of people that are like, this guy gets it. Better than the Republican leaders have.
Fair enough. Cameron, what do you think? How do you think President Trump's invincibility, how has he done this, honestly? 8 years now? It's kind of crazy, honestly.
I mean, honestly, I don't know. Do I think it'll hold up? I mean, I think he's cultivated such a strong fan base, like, or support base, to where he can get away with a lot of things. Probably nothing too crazy. Definitely don't think he would get away with like murder or something. Something insane. But these, like, the trial, like, for this, like, currently what's going on, I don't think that's enough to ruin him. I don't think anything in the past has been enough to ruin him. Yes, it may sour public interest in him from like some of the swing voters, but um to his base audience, that's not going to be enough to sway them away from the person they've supported for the past almost 8 years. So I still think he's going to keep going. I think he'll be fine after this, unless just something major comes out of the woodworks that we just could not foresee. I think he's going to be fine. He truly is just going to be fine. He's going to run. He still has the ability to run. So as long as he has the ability to run, he's going to run. Unless they take that away from him, he will run. Something like the former governor of Arkansas said.
Yeah.
He probably shouldn't, but he is. We all know that. And he's still going to get millions and millions of supporters to back him up.
Sorry, Governor Hutchinson. Just not going to happen.
Him out, though.
Yeah.
Think about this from another perspective, all right? So after the midterms, I would say Trump's influence on the Republican Party was waning. People were finally, I think a lot of these people that were loyal to him previously were like, this dude just cost us, 3 seats in the Senate and 25 seats in the House. I mean, that's, as much as Republicans and a lot of conservatives love Trump in a way, they don't love losing as much. I think they hate losing more than they love him. And so that really started to have an effect on his popularity. But now that he's back in the headlines, and I think people are forced to take a side again, it's almost like shot him back up to relevance. Because, and not that he was ever fading into irrelevancy, but I actually think that this could be one of the best things that happened to his campaign. In terms of all about DeSantis before, and now he's back on the front page every single day now.
Yeah. Fair enough. I have one last question for you. I know we're all busy, so we'll wrap up. Well, it's a 2-part question. Okay, so let's say President Trump gets convicted tomorrow. No prison, fines only, heavy fines. So first question, does he win the Republican primary or the whole nomination? Does he win the nomination? And then does he have the support, with technically being a criminal, to get 270 votes in November 2024 and become the next president of the United States?
I'll answer the first part. Do I think he'll win the nomination? Maybe. It depends on how he handles it afterwards. So when the charges are handed down to him and we flash back to to give the speech, it depends on how the speech goes. It can go really good or really bad, or it can just be bleh. but I'm really leaning towards really go to really pack. But what he really needs to capitalize on is on the swing. So he doesn't need to, continue to support his strong support base. He needs to move up from the base and keep going up and getting more swing voters in swing states, which is becoming a huge deal. So it depends on how he goes about it, and depends on how he campaigns with that, and how he can go about, especially when the debates come around. That's definitely going to be a topic they're going to hit him with, regardless. If the Republican Party likes him or favors him or not, they're just going to have to speak about it. So it depends on how he goes about it, really and truly.
Bodeker, what do you think?
So this thing's gonna draw on for months, which is difficult because he's gonna go through the arraignment, go through everything, and then he's gonna have to stand trial. It's not something that is gonna get solved tomorrow. But say he's convicted, like your question, I don't think he'll win the primary. I think there are enough people that would just be like, as much as I respect what you did, I don't think I can get behind that again. But he's in a weird spot because his popularity within his own party for what he did during his presidency is very high. It's not like a Jimmy Carter situation per se, where everyone's got a lukewarm on him. Like, he still has people that, whether you like him or not, at least in the Republican Party, they're like, we like what happened in those 4 years. Good days. So and then I don't think, if he's convicted, there's no chance that he wins 270. I just don't see it happening. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah. I think if he's convicted, I don't think he wins. I think Governor DeSantis steps up. He comes in, sweeps the primaries, goes on to the general. I just don't think that he has, I agree with you. I think there's enough voters that saw the midterms. And I know the primaries, especially presidential primaries, are very highly concentrated. And that's why President Trump's superpower, I feel like. Because if you can churn out 30% in a primary against, 6, 7, 8 challengers, you're going to win. But I think that if he does get convicted, the speech will be a big part of it. If he messes the speech up and he gets convicted, then I think Governor DeSantis announces in the next week, takes advantage of it, and he's off the races. But again, who knows? President Trump, he has such a strong base that honestly, being in trial wouldn't even be that big of an issue to him campaign-wise. That he has such a message that's known, reverberated around the country at this point, that there's honestly not as big of a downside to just being in prison as probably there should be for any candidate. And yeah, so that's my take. Thank you guys for coming on, Bodeker. It's always good to have you on the podcast. Fun one. Election season coming up. You'll be back much more, I'm assuming. Yeah, thanks you guys for listening. You guys know where to find us. Bodeker, where do we find you? No one knows that.
On the website, my articles come out periodically. You can find me on Instagram at Michael_Bodeker, and that's probably the best way to get in touch with me.
Yeah, new Bodeker article actually coming out. Actually, is out at the time of this coming out about this issue. It's like a tie-in. Look at that. So that worked out really well. Cam, I know you're always wanting new followers, so where can everybody find you?
You can follow me on Instagram, Cameron_C421. Follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to hit 1K. I'm really close. Eshan has more followers than me, so I take it as a sign of disrespect. So I can't lose to Eshan.
Yeah, I have 500 more followers than you. That's unlucky. Hey, it is what it is. You don't have to follow me. Follow Cam. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. Follow PBPolitical AL. Go to the website. Go to the TikTok for now. All that stuff. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. I'm Eshan Pokhrel.
My name's Cameron Cummings.
And I'm Michael Bodeker.
And goodbye.